What's going on, guys? Today I'm coming at you with a bit of a different video. Finally. Because of everything that's been going on with COVID-19 and parks being closed, I finally have an excuse to at least begin the process of making my park review videos. I'm not going to be doing any reviews in this video, but rather, I'm going to be explaining how I'm going to do it. Wait, don't leave. I promise I'm going to do it differently than everyone else does. What do I mean by that? Well, let's start getting a little bit more in-depth with this explanation. Let's start with the parks themselves. To start off, I will be judging theme parks and amusement parks separately. Parks like Disney, SeaWorld, and Silver Dollar City are all theme parks and will not be judged with amusement parks such as Cedar Point, Kennywood, or the majority of the Six Flags parks. Also, in order to further keep things fair and so as to not have parks like Fun Spot competing with a park the size of Cedar Point, I have divided parks into 3 separate classifications which are based on, but not limited to, factors such as the size and annual attendance of the park. These classifications are not based on how good the park actually is. There may be a park out there that's barely the size of a middle school campus, and it could be an absolutely amazing park, but it would never be in the same classification as a park like Disney World because of its size, because Disney World is so much bigger than this park. Now on to what the classifications actually are. The top classification is world class. These parks will be parks like Disney World, Universal, Cedar Point, Europa Park, maybe Six Flags Magic Mountain. You know, big parks that people know about from around the world and have a lot of annual visitors. The next classification will be regional class. These are going to be the majority of your Six Flags and Cedar Fair parks. Six Flags Fiesta Texas, California's Great America, Kennywood, parks that most everyone who lives within a 2 to 3 hour radius of the parks know about. The next and lowest classification will be local class parks. These are going to be small parks such as Boardwalk Parks, ZDT's Amusement Park, Fun Spot Parks, parks like those, These are going to be most of the parks that are considered hidden gem parks. Let's move on. The rest of the video is going to be talk about how I'm going to be actually reviewing the park itself. Marching band. Wait, don't leave. I promise this is relevant. Those of you who have been in marching band before should have at least a basic understanding of this. But for those of you that don't know, marching bands, both in high school and professionals, will often compete against each other in competitions. And when they do this, they are scored by a panel of judges. Each judge is in charge of a specific category or subcategory and will give the band a score for said categories/subcategories. Once the band has performed and the judges make their scores, those scores will be averaged out to a final score that determines their placement within the competition. Some categories are worth more than others. For example, the marching score is going to be weighted more than the drumline score. Not that either of those are more or less important than the other, but marching takes up a way bigger part of the marching band show that they perform. So it's going to be worth more than just the drumline by itself. So, with all that being said, there will be 3 main categories of review, each of which will have its own subcategories as well. These 3 are 1. Rides and attractions, 2. Operations, and 3. Aesthetics. Rides and attractions will consist of all roller coasters, thrilling flat rides, non-water park water rides, every other ride that may be in the park, shows/live entertainment, and games. For this category, each roller coaster, with the exception of kiddie coasters, will be receiving their own review video that will be considered part of the park review overall. However, they can be their own standalone videos if you want to see it like that. Games, thrilling flat rides, other rides, and non-water park rides will all be in a video together. This is going to consist of the number of non-roller coaster rides and games and what is enjoyable or not about them. Lastly, shows and live entertainment will receive their own video. This will consist of just the overall quality and enjoyability of the show. How good the performers are, the speakers too loud or not loud enough, stuff like that. Now on to operations. As far as park operations go, you have the ride operations, you have food and shop operations, you have front gate, you have the skip the line program, you have ease of access, I'll explain this in a minute, and then you have guest services. The ride operations aspect of this will not be like Coaster Studios' operations videos where he times the rides live and records them. I will time each of the ride dispatches, when I remember to, off camera a good number of times, and with that information, give each ride an operation score out of 100. If you really want to know how I'm going to score that, just comment below and I'll post a video about it or something. And just for the record, I will not be timing just coasters. I will also be timing major flat rides and some smaller flat rides as well. I will then put these final scores for each ride into their own video and average those out to get an overall park average score for the coasters and for the flat rides. To make it easier on me, I'm not going to be timing moving loading stations. All of this is going to be one video. For food operations, it'll be pretty much the same as ride operations, except I'm going to be soft timing how long it takes from the moment I get in line to the moment I receive my food. Obviously, I won't be doing this more than once per restaurant in the park. Once I get that time, I'll score the restaurant out of 100 and average the restaurant scores together. Shop operations is going to be the exact same as food operations. These two will be in a video together. Front gate is going to be basically everything that consists of getting into the park, including parking, security, buying tickets if you didn't do it online or if you don't have a season pass, and then the actual entrance gates. Kind of seeing how long it takes to do all that. Not really timing that since it's not as important. Doing employee kindness and helpfulness as they're doing that, how easy it is to scan your tickets, stuff like that. Skip the line program is pretty obvious. Is their skip the line program easy to use? Is it worth the price? Etc., etc., etc. Skip the line and front gate will be in their own separate video. Now, ease of access is more important than one would think. This category judges the sizes of the pathways, exit paths, and queue lines. Are the paths big enough for people to move through on a busy day? Is the line just for waiting, or is there actually something to do while in line? Whether it be looking at theming or some kind of interactiveness or something like that. Are the exit paths quick and easy to get out of, or are they unnecessarily long? Ramps for handicapped people will be excused. Another example, where is the exit in relation to the entrance of the ride? Guest services will basically be, if I need to go to guest services for something, I'll be timing the line, I'll be getting the friendliness of the employees helping me, etc. If I don't need to go to guest services, that will actually be extra points towards the park because it meant that there wasn't anything that happened that would require me to go to guest services. This is going to be combined into one video with ease of access. Now, the last major category is going to be the park aesthetics. Among this, we have atmosphere, how the rides look, landscaping, cleanliness, and how the buildings look. Atmosphere is going to be what the park looks like. What are the different themed areas, if there are any? What is the overall theme that the park is trying to convey? Obviously, amusement parks and theme parks will not be compared to each other in this category. Amusement parks will have their own set of guidelines for review, and theme parks will have their own set of guidelines. This will be its own video. How do the rides look? By this, I don't mean does the ride look fun or not. I mean, do the rides look like they're about to fall apart? Do they look faded? Do they need a fresh coat of paint? Do the rides themselves look good? Not does it look like a good or fun ride. I mean, does the ride look pleasing to the eye? Landscaping is going to be flowers, trees, benches, trash cans, and the placement of all of these things. This is something that Busch Gardens Williamsburg does really well. Basically, how beautiful is the park? This and ride looks are going to be part of the same video. Cleanliness is pretty much self-explanatory. Is the park clean? Are the janitors doing a good job of keeping the park clean? Are trash cans taken out regularly? Basic stuff like that. The last subcategory for this category is how the buildings look. Now, this is going to be the same criteria as the rides. Does it look like it's going to fall apart? Does it need to be power washed or something? Does it need a repaint? Etc., etc., etc. Taking into consideration how well kept the buildings are. Okay, now that I'm done explaining all that, I get to explain the scoring system. Promise, we're almost done. As far as rides and attractions go, roller coasters are going to be weighted more heavily. 45% of the rides and attractions score is going to be roller coasters. 25% of it is going to be thrilling flat rides. 25% of it will be water rides and all other rides. 5% games, and 5% show. That's how that category will be weighted. Rides and attractions as a whole will be weighted as 40% of the overall score. For operations, ride operations will be weighted as 40%. Food operations will be weighted 25%. Shops will be weighted 15%. Front entrance will be weighted 10%, and guest services will be weighted 5% if necessary. If not, that 5% will be divided equally among the rest of the operations. Operations overall will be weighted as 30% of the final score. On to aesthetics. Cleanliness and ride looks will both be 30%, so 60% altogether. Landscaping will be 20%, atmosphere will be 10%, and building looks will be 10%. Overall, aesthetics will be weighted as 30% of the final score. The reason I weighted rides and attractions as 40% is because they're the whole reason you go to amusement parks. I know there are some people who are real nitpicky about what the rides look like and how clean the park is, but the reason you go is for the rides and attractions, not for anything else. You don't go for the food. You don't go for the flowers. You go for the rides and attractions. Now, after averaging each of the subcategories together and getting those scores, I will then take each final score and weight them appropriately. Once that is done, the park will receive a final score based on the different parks averaged together. The best score possible is a 100 and would be considered a perfect park. I will note that if a park or ride has changed significantly enough, in my opinion, I will remake the review video for the ride or for the aspect or aspects of the park that changed. One last thing before I end the video. The majority of how I'm going to set up the videos is subject to change. Will guest services and front gate be part of the same video like I said? Maybe not, but the basic idea of having different scores for different aspects of the park will remain the same. Okay, we're finally done. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Definitely be looking for park review videos in the future. Let me know what you think of this style of park review. I'm looking forward to seeing what y'all think about it. Comment your thoughts below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, we are all clear and out of here. We'll see y'all later.